Saturday morning to you, and welcome to On the Mark alongside Mark Pappa. I'm Gary Byron. Mark is with Financial Resources Group out of Glastonbury, Connecticut. You can find him online at www.frplan.com. F as in Frank, frplan.com, and 860-657-8380. 860-657-8380. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Gary. How are you?
I got to tell you, I am. I'm not doing too bad. I know what tonight is. I'm not looking forward to. Tell you, it's going to get dark early starting tomorrow, Sunday. It's crazy. I don't like this.
No, I know. We definitely need to petition to reverse this trend and not have daylight savings one way or another.
No, have daylight savings
like
year round.
Yeah, daylight savings year round. It's much happier place for sure.
How was your Halloween last night? You had a lot of. Were you home? Any trick or treaters at your place? Or?
No, did the old neighborhood with my son. He's dressed as an inflatable cow, so it got a lot of
inflatable cow?
A lot of attention, and these these costumes. He wore it once to trunk or treat, and then the little air thingy fell off the vent. So what I had to do is I had to Gorilla Glue it back on so that it worked again. But it was fun. A lot of volume too. So people, I like this a little bit warmer weather. Maybe will attract more people.
That sounds
attracted more people, I should say.
Utterly cute.
Yeah, very funny.
Thank you very much. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you before we get started here. Tuesday, you had your dinner at Ruth Chris, your seminar, right?
Yes.
How did that go?
It went well. This is the third one we've done.
I know.
I'm getting an incredible response, and the people who are coming to me aren't. Some of the seminars I've done in the past, I don't even explain this to people. I just got so discouraged with the seminars. The people who you would get to come to the office are the ones that had no money. And they were lovely people, and you'd help them, but I just got discouraged. The Roth Blueprint folks who are coming in, they're coming from all over. They're coming from Wallingford, Farmington, Canton, amazing groups of people. And these are people with real issues that and real problems to address that they had no idea that they had. They might have had a hunch, but they walk in and we talk about the 6 chain reactions that are caused by your required minimum distributions if you own an IRA. Or even there was a couple of people last night that had inherited an IRA and that money's going to come out in 10 years. So there's these 6 chain reactions really, really got people's attention. People don't realize that your adjusted gross income, which is income after deductions, spikes tremendously. So you can jump from the 12 to 22 bracket or the 22 to 24 bracket really quickly if you're not managing your RMDs. So by converting to Roth, we explain to folks that the more money you have in Roth, the less money that's going to be taxed in your retirement.
Do people know this? Because it sounds like such a no-brainer.
Well, they kind of do, but they don't have a path. Everybody is frightened. Oh, I'm going to have to pay the big tax man. I'm going to have to pay and I'm going to have less. So, Gary, I don't know a lot of advisors who I think some advisors are really good. Like I said, just have your good advisors. Then you have the advisors that don't want to lose the fee income revenue, right? Because if, let's say I'm giving away 30% of my book of business, I tell everybody, hey, let's convert to Roth. The people that are able to, I tell them, let's start this path. Well, you have to illustrate what the tax cost is going to be. But what people aren't illustrating for people is what happens to your adjusted gross income during retirement. What happens, the impact of taxes on your Social Security when you start taking those required minimum distributions. Most people are going to be taking those RMDs at 73 and a half. If you're born after 1960, you could wait till you're 75. And most people listening to the show, if you're 70, they had to take theirs at 70 and a half. So they're well into it. And they wish they could reverse it. It's just a little bit too late. So you have to start early. I think you start thinking about it at 60 or 65 or when you first retire or a spouse retires. It gives you a lot of wiggle room to stay in a certain bracket. But, Gary, what we're able to do is do these Roth conversions over, 3, 5, sometimes 6, 7 years. And we're able to convert these Roth IRAs to regular Roth IRAs and not reduce the client's balance.
All right, well,
So that's huge.
Why? This is kind of a continuation from last week, and for anybody who was not with us over the last couple of weeks, this is kind of like a three-parter. This is the third of the three. And if you weren't able for some reason to catch last week or the week before, we've been talking about this Roth Blueprint checklist. Why is that so important, Mark?
Well, it's one thing to have your money right. Obviously, that's the driver of your retirement, but there's other things in your retirement plan that you're not even thinking about that could impact you. So we're going to go over those. But Gary, would it be okay if I just gave a quick example of what a Roth Blueprint looked like?
Please. Yeah. Okay. Why don't you?
So what I did was I took Bob and Mary, right? Two very common names, Bob and Mary. Bob and Mary are both 65. Their combined IRAs have $1 million in combined IRAs. And their joint income is $150,000 a year. Okay. So that means that their top tax bracket is at 24%. Okay. So it's they're doing pretty well. Then they're doing all right. So you have 24% federal, then you're going to have, I think, an effective about 5.5 state. So simple terms, what we want to do is show what the software will show. This is their lifetime wealth before the blueprint. This assumes a 5% rate of return. So we're not talking about blistering numbers here. And again, I don't like to use assumptions, but we need to use something. So if all they do is net 5% a year, the Roth Blueprint wealth amount is going to be $2.543 million. And then with the Roth Blueprint, the increase they would actually, throughout their lifetime, this also assumes living to age 95. It's a software. All right. So, but here's the bottom line, not to be skeptical. 2.543.099, right, is going to be their lifetime wealth before the blueprint. With the blueprint, that number jumps to $4,121,142.
Wow.
So that's an increase of 62%. This is just
That's incredible.
I literally just did this blueprint as I was sitting here before the show. Okay. So that's how quickly we can show people based on their situation. You bring in a tax return, you bring in your statements, your IRA balances and all that fun stuff. Bring those to the office. In addition, we're going to look at other things like your home insurance and your legal documents like your power of attorney and your medical power of attorney, which we'll talk about today. But Gary, although you're paying taxes on the way out, I mean, there's ways to, when you start growing that money tax-free and it comes out tax-free, when you eliminate the fact that your Medicare premiums are going to spike, the taxes on the Social Security, you eliminate the taxes, just general taxes and your adjusted gross, what you pay in additional Medicare surcharges in our presentation, we show people in the example that they paid $511,000 in what they call IRMA charges, which is the surcharge on your Medicare, due to the increase in income. That's money now. We would say, well, wait a minute, but if that money had not been spent on those Medicare surcharges, had they planned correctly, we could have done what with that money? And most people say, well, you would have reinvested it. Exactly. When you reinvest it, then you look at the compound growth of that, and it's a massive delta of over $900,000. So people, everyone wants to be on a fixed income and you're on a tight budget, but you're on a tight budget because you didn't bother sitting down with a guy like me who can show you a path to getting out of those tax-trapped or taxable accounts and converting them into Roth IRAs. So, and doing it in a fair and ethical way. And again, that, typically does not reduce your balance. And there's ways of doing it that way. And there's also ways, certain products out there where if you put your money in, they'll actually help you pay the taxes. So it's pretty cool.
All right. You mentioned about a medical power of attorney, right? As well as electronically filing documents. Why is this so important?
This is a big one, Gary. So I used to travel the state of Connecticut. I'd be all over the place. And I can't tell you how many near misses or, somebody, we see people drive crazy. So someone's going to cut you off to get, somewhere, 30 seconds earlier. I had my son, and I said, let me go get my legal documents. So I got my will done, got my power of attorney done, got my medical power of attorney done. And, one day through the Fullchecklist review, prior to the Fullchecklist review, obviously got married, had a child, and learned the Fullchecklist review. And one of the key categories had to do with having your medical power of attorney on you at all times. And everyone's like, well, wait a minute, that's a legal document. So, you know what legal paper, do you ever have to struggle with your printer, Gary?
Yeah.
But, well, that's the legal one. Now, how often, if you're not a lawyer, are you printing on legal ever? Right?
No.
I mean, they should just make printers for lawyers, right, on legal size, and then everyone else can be left alone. So imagine taking that 3, 4, 5-page document that shows who's named as the person to act in your behalf in an emergency, and having to carry that around in your car or your glove box. How fun would that be?
Fun? How fun would that be?
I mean, would that be convenient to be carrying that legal documents around with you all the time?
I don't want to carry legal documents around.
I know,
no.
right?
What if I lost or somebody stole it or?
Yeah, exactly. And, can you, it's not something you can fold up and put in your wallet.
No.
So we have that problem. Now, let's say I'm traveling in California and I live in Connecticut, and all of a sudden I have let's say I fall off a bike or get hurt or hit my head. My medical power of attorney is back in Connecticut. How would they get access to the hospital? Will the hospital even talk to them if they don't have that medical power of attorney handy? Guess what they're not going to do? How about if your name is not on a utility bill? What's happened in that case? You need to talk to your utility company. They're going to talk to you if your name's not on the bill, even if you're married?
No.
They don't.
No,
so what do you think happens with the medical? So what we do, Gary, is we tell people, we show people that when you go to the hospital, nowadays, they don't even let you read the documents. They put this signature pad in front of you. They say, okay, well, Gary, they're going to say, Mark, we need to do emergency surgery on this guy. And if I don't have my medical power of attorney, can anyone authorize that if I can't authorize it on my own?
No.
Right. So you need that medical power of attorney to be able to call in and actually act on your behalf and be your advocate. So what we do, Gary, is we actually help clients upload all their legal documents to a service. It's a digital vault that's encrypted, and you can just add your medical power of attorney, and that's it. You can do that. Your end of life, if you wanted to do DNR, you can do that. But it's important because guess who writes the hospital's documents for them? Do you think the compassionate doctors write it, or who do you think they hire to do their documentation?
Attorneys.
They're lawyers, right. And is their lawyer going to be tilting the game in your favor, or are they there to protect the hospital?
Yeah, well, we know it's not going to be in my favor. You tell me who's paying for the attorney, I'll tell you which way it's going to sway.
Yeah, exactly. So what I do is, as a courtesy for people who are responsible enough to actually do this and bring in their medical power of attorney, I'll pay for the first year of their DocuBank. It's like $25 a client. So I'm not saying I'm doing a lot for them, but what am I buying them aside from the monetary aspect? What am I buying them in the event they get in an accident or there's a problem, right? So they have peace of mind that their documents are always going to be handy when they need them most. Okay, so that's what we do. So we make sure your medical power of attorney, all clients get that filed electronically. Because again, if you're remote, and is someone going to go into your safe and unfold that document and stuff it in a fax machine and send it over to the hospital, or if they need to act right away, guess what's going to happen? Guess what? You're going to sign in the dotted line, and once you do that, guess what happens?
Do anything they want.
Yeah, they can pretty much. They've got a lot more control over you.
What about like a quality of life directive?
Well, that's a good one too, Gary, because the quality of life directive is actually instructions for the medical power of attorney. So let's say that person is your medical power of attorney. How difficult can things get if they have to make a major decision for you? Right? How hard can it be? Now, it's just like anything. We ask people in our meetings, if we were to put up a building, how long, you needed to put something together. How could you do that without instructions? Right? Could you imagine trying to put a piece of a Lego? You get a big box of a 500-piece Lego, try and put that together without the instructions. How's that going to be?
Frustrating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what we have is the quality of life directive actually gives people directives, not in the simple cases. So let's say there's a broken leg in this case, and the doctor says, "Hey, Mark, do you want me to, put your dad's leg in a cast, or do you want me to let him walk funny for the rest of his life?" Obviously, I'm going to put my dad in a cast. If it's end of life and they say, well, hey, he's met all the criteria of a do not resuscitate, and there's no way to bring him back, he's never going to think for himself, feed himself, do anything for himself, he's going to be on a machine. but the DNR says, no, right, do not resuscitate. What am I going to do? I'm going to honor that.
I have to honor that.
Right. So in this case, what this is for people, is for the gray areas, the areas that aren't so easy to make decisions on. Now, there is no easy decision when there's someone's medical power of attorney, but there's pretty obvious scenarios when the doctors are telling you there's no bringing them back. You know it's time to pull the plug. Versus, okay, well, there's a 50-50 chance they live or die. And we need to do this operation on them. And you know what? If we do the operation, we could save them. They might be good as new in a year. But, the other 50% is they could die on the operating table. So
what do you do?
What do you do? How hard of a decision could that be?
Oh, my goodness. I hope I'm never in that decision.
You can never be in that position. Exactly. And one of the things we say is we wouldn't wish being, medical power of attorney on our worst enemy. Why would I say something like that?
You're making decisions for somebody that you may not even know the answers to.
Exactly. So let's say you don't know the answers and you're dead wrong on the answer. And the patient...
Well, how do you know you're dead wrong on the answer?
Well, that's exactly right. So what we want to do is inside the medical power, inside the quality of life directive, there's all sorts of different areas that I'll ask you, like, for example, how much pain control would you want? And we'll say, gee, well, I'd want pain control. Sure, I don't want to be in pain. And most people will say, no, not me. Well, what happens when I change the question to having pain controlled as much as possible, even if it affects my ability to think clearly? Does that kind of change the game a little bit? Where some people might be like, hey, I'm a baby, knock me out. Other folks might be like, well, I can handle some pain, but I need to know what's going on around me. Right?
Yeah, right. That's true.
And there's another level. So you get to put what your pain level tolerance would be. There's another one that says, well, having pain controlled, even if it's going to shorten my life. Now, how bad could that be? Right? So you have to decide. Right so, if you had to decide for someone else, so you get to write, you get to jot these
all
things.
This?
Yeah, this is part of the deal.
Wow.
This is part of the deal, because here's the problem: what happens if that poor medical power of attorney who was kind enough to take care of you makes the wrong decision? What happens to them mentally?
Oh, they'll never be the same after that.
Never be the same. Is that fair?
Of course not. Folks, you are listening to On the Mark, along with Mark Pappa. I'm Gary Byron. Mark is with Financial Resources Group out of Glastonbury. You can find him online at www.frplan.com, frplan.com, and write this number down and call it 860-657-8380, 860-657-8380. All right, let me ask you about something that, this could affect anyone. Identity theft.
Oh boy, yeah.
This could get complicated, and sadly, there's people listening to this right now who they've already been a victim of this.
They have, in fact, and identity theft is so bad, and even for people
of any
who
age
think they are on the ball. I was just at the gym this morning, and my trainer, I was telling him about a situation we had. And he was telling me, well, his dad is 63. So only 63. Not the oldest guy.
83, 63.
I mean, he was around when AOL was started, So let's think about this for a minute, though.
AOL.
He was telling me how his dad, he's the son, he's like the IT specialist for the family. And he's like 24. Very bright kid, by the way. And he's my trainer, but he also has an economics background, so he's super bright. And he's like, Mark, I just had to stop my dad. He went and put his credit card in on some Facebook ad for some VPN, which is a virtual private network, which wasn't like Nord or something that was, something that was recognizable. And they grabbed this credit card, and that caused the big problem for poor dad. So, I get I don't know about you, but when you open up your email, you get bills saying, I got one in Japanese, 16,000 in Japanese yen I owed somebody. And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't buy in yen, but you have to delete those emails. Sometimes just by virtue of opening up that document.
How do they know you've opened it?
Well, that's the thing. You don't open it at all. Don't open it because they could put malicious code in the document. Once you click that document, the malicious code can infect your computer and hack into your system, and not good. So you can lose a lot. So identity theft's terrible.
Over here now.
Yeah, identity theft's not a good thing. So with the identity theft guide, Gary, I'd recommend everybody, this is kind of a freebie, but for everybody, because we don't charge for the full checklist, you want to go to ftc.gov, and there's an identity theft platform there. It's ftc.gov. AARP also has a big-time identity theft. 2 takeaways for identity theft are going to be, one, out of this meeting, we get people to recognize you need to get an IRS PIN for identity theft, ID theft PIN, to make sure no one can fraudulently file their tax return, because otherwise they're going to steal your refund, and that's what, for most people.
Electronically.
Yeah, they can steal electronically. It's a decent amount of money, so you want your $2,000, $3,000 going to the wrong place. I've seen situations where tax softwares have been hacked, and they actually changed the banking on the tax return, and then the preparer went and filed it, and the money went to somewhere in cyberspace, not to the customer. So they're out there. They're all constantly trying to steal your identity. So you have to be so on guard with anything, even if you're very careful. But this booklet, we do go through it. There's letters that you can write, template letters, so like to your local police department, and other letters that you might have to write to your insurance company. There's templates in there. So it's a really, really good free service that you can utilize, that we're big on getting people to know. And then the other thing is locking down your credit. So some of the people who come to me who are savvy, they've already locked down their credit. So you go to one of the 3 major credit rating agencies who do your FICO score.
Equifax and Experian.
Experian, Equifax. You lock it down on them, lock it down on one, and they lock them down on all of them. So if you need to make a big purchase, you can just open it back up.
What does it say about like an umbrella liability insurance?
Well, what's interesting, Gary, you bring up insurance, home insurance and umbrella. Going back to identity theft, you may want to check your home policy to see if you have identity theft coverage in there, because a lot of the homeowners' policies do.
Like squatting.
Yeah. So, but if there's ID theft in there, but those two tie together. But we're very, very big on umbrella liability. And let's face it, if you've saved up a couple $1 million, how hard was that to save?
Well, for me,
for anybody,
it's difficult. For me, a couple $1 million. Yeah,
a couple $1 million. It's hard. I mean, you have to have some good luck in the market, right?
Sure.
You have to be able to live with your heat on 66 versus 68, like a lot of people. You have to be able to turn your lights on and off, right? And be miser. For most people, unless you're making $500,000 a year, which isn't most people, it's hard to. It's even after tax, it's still hard to save a lot of money like that, right? Yeah. So some people are good savers, and they're savers and spenders. So, but interesting enough, we'd want to make sure that whatever you do build as a nest egg is protected. So we have a little story. We say, let's say, Gary, you were to have a party in your backyard, and your friend trips over the hose and spills his beer on his shirt. He's going to joke around and say, you better have good what?
You better have good insurance.
Yeah, you better have good insurance, right? Because now if your friend is kind of thinking they might want to sue you, and your friend's probably not going to sue you, but what if somebody who's a stranger, what if it was one of your friend's buddies that you never met before, right? And he didn't have anything to his name, but he had nothing to lose but to trip over your hose and try and sue you. What would you want to make sure you had, right?
Liability insurance.
Good liability insurance. So umbrella is so important because it helps protect you above and beyond what your current policy protects you. So I am not a licensed property casualty insurance agent. So what we do is we have a special form called the PNC checklist. Plus, we also have the umbrella liability script, which we talk to people about. We get people to admit, hey, if I've got a $2 million retirement, but my insurance is only going to cover $500K in the event there's a lawsuit. Guess what? Guess what else is
going to come out of your pocket? You better get something supplemental.
Right, something supplemental. So we say to them, we kind of like talk about having that type of insurance as almost like prepaid legal. Because think about this. If you have a $2 million umbrella or $1 million umbrella, how hard is the insurance company going to fight on your behalf before they pay out that claim? Right? Yeah. And we all know people who are lawyers, and what they're going to do is they're going to negotiate a settlement. And would you much rather have the insurance company's lawyer do that on your behalf and pay, $300 a year, or pay how much per hour
Hell
to defend
no.
yourself.
No.
You can go bankrupt just defending yourself.
Good.
So what's a good idea to have?
The insurance.
The insurance.
And have their attorney do it.
Yeah, so we're very, very big on making sure people have umbrella liability. Because what kind of advisor would I be, Gary, if I get a phone call, hey, we got sued by our neighbor. Something happened. He broke his ankle on our property, and it's going to cost us $300,000. We want the insurance. We're fighting. We need money for the lawyer. Even if they had to take $20,000 out of their savings account or brokerage account, what kind of advisor would I be?
You'd be terrible.
I'd be terrible.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I appreciate you recognizing that.
I got 2 minutes remaining. Is it enough time to go into? Because you mentioned property and casualty. Can you Can you do a condensed?
I think we may want to. We can try and do that. I don't want to rush that one
All
because
right.
there's a lot of little things going on in the industry. Again, I'm not a licensed property casualty agent, but we do. What we could do is in the next segment we could start off, Gary, with the property casualty checklist.
Well, it'd have to be next week because okay.
Yeah, next week. That's what I meant.
So take the final minute and a half here, and you want to talk about the gift card? Do you want to talk about your seminars? Do you have a new date for one?
The next seminar. So what I'm going to do, Gary, I had so much success with the first 3 seminars.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to be overwhelmed. I don't need to be overwhelmed anymore. And I actually said this last night on Tuesday night at my event. I said, guys, I know there's a room full. There's 40 of you here. I know a piece of you. I hope you enjoyed the steak. You're just here to get some, information. And I know some of you are sort of going to think about it. That's fine too. But I know there's also a group of you who really, really want to come and get this done. And there was about a third of the room, which is a good number, probably a little better, which is a good number. And I didn't push. And the reason I didn't push is I don't want to be crazy busy. I don't need to work 12 hours a day anymore. I don't need to, go nuts. I want to be able to take the most possible time and help as many people as possible in an efficient way without going crazy.
Good.
I don't need to do
Smart.
that. And this way it could be calm.
Do you have one more
rushed.
schedule between now and the holiday season? Or are you going to wait till the new year?
I have not decided on that. I'm probably going to wait till January.
Really?
Yeah, because of the holidays and everything coming up. But the Roth Blueprint is an absolute home run for anybody willing to go through the process.
You sold me on this. Let me tell you. I mean, we've been talking about this. This is now 3 weeks. It looks like we're going to go into next week.
It's
going to.
I'm going to keep talking about it because it needs to resonate.
You do need to keep talking
Uncle
about it.
Sam is coming for your retirement.
And you've concluded everything. It's on this checklist, folks. If you want to have one for yourself, head on over to Financial Resources Group. They're in Glastonbury, Connecticut, online at frplan.com. That's F as in Frank, frplan.com. Call this number. In fact, call it right now. 860-657-8380. Make your no-obligation consultation, no strings attached. 860-657-8380. For Mark Pappa, I'm Gary Byron. Thank you so much for listening to On the Mark. Until next Saturday morning, have a good one, everybody. So long.